I have several programs. One of them is I have you can either work with me one-to-one, so I can see clients one-to-one. That's a bit more personalized, specific to their specific needs. So it's more flexible. And I work using a variety of tools. So firstly and foremost is helping women understand the trauma.
Hello and welcome to Obehi Podcast. I'm your host, Obehi A14, and I strongly believe that everyone has a story to share. Now let's get started into this episode.
It's trauma that is causing them. Most often than not, women that I work with have literally come out of a relationship with them and they want to move forward. I work mainly with those on the road to recovery. Recovery is hard because even if they have left the relationship, they just cannot move forward, and nobody really understands it. People just say, "Oh, get yourself together." Why are you still, thinking about this person? They don't understand that it's a trauma bond that's happened. So I work with them around clearing that, helping them to understand why they still want to be in the relationship with this person, even when they've moved on. I help them to understand something called the Stockholm Syndrome, trauma bond. I don't know if you've heard of that. And that's when there was an incident in Stockholm where some women were kidnapped and their perpetrators held them for X amount of time. When they were released, one of the victims actually paid the bail for one of the perpetrators, and the other one married the other perpetrator, because what was happening was this, so it was this trauma bond, and it's this thing where they treat you good. Have you ever heard that saying, treat them mean and keep them keen? It's that kind of thing. So you offer them crumbs and they will take that, and then you draw it. And the victim, will always be wanting to get back to that place where everything was great. Okay. So like for me, for example, in the beginning, everything was wonderful. I didn't understand that I was trauma bonded, and I just wanted to get back to that place. It must have been something that I'd done wrong, because why all of a sudden is he not being nice to me anymore? So it must be something that I have done wrong. And so it's helping women understand they didn't actually do anything wrong. It's part and parcel of the disorder of this person. So I help them do that. I use tools such as NLP. I am a certified NLP practitioner. I'm also use timeline, not therapy, but I am a timeline practitioner as well. And because I'm coaching and I understand the trauma, I'm able to help people with those tools. Because coaching sometimes is not always, you need to be careful when you're using coaching, especially when with working with people who have a trauma background. You've got to be very careful. But it's giving them the right tools to be able to work their way through it. So they can work one-to-one with me, and it's over a period of time, because you cannot get transformation in 1 and 2 sessions. You just can't. So you have to work with them relatively long term. So it could be anything from 3 to 6 months to a year that I will work with. They want to get rid of their pain. They want to move forward with their life, but can't. They feel stuck. They are ruminating all the time about their past relationship. They feel shame. They beat up on themselves. They're thinking, why did I let this happen to me? They want to let go of the shame. They want to be able to let the pain go. They want to get past the pain. That's why they come to me. They will come to me and say, Marcia, I've been out of this relationship for 6 months now, or a year, and I'm still struggling. What is wrong with me? Why can't I move on? What is wrong with me? I'm still thinking about, the ex. I still want to pick up the phone and call them, and they've done this to me and they've done that to me. And all they do is they relive those experiences that they've had, the trauma. They relive it daily, and they don't want it anymore. But it's how do I get from, they help me to get past that. That is why they come to me. Very rarely will a perpetrator seek help. Very, very rarely. Very rarely. And because they don't see themselves as needing help. They're the perpetrators. There is nothing wrong with them. So the likelihood of them coming to cry to you or to me is pretty rare. The only time that may happen is if they are in a relationship and the person that they are with is leaving them because of their behavior. They may then seek out help. They may go and see a therapist. They may come and see. But to answer your question, what they will then do is manipulate, and this is the other thing, unless the person who is working with them, the professional, unless they have an understanding and they can identify that this person has narcissistic personality disorder, they themselves will be manipulated in that therapy. I don't think there is a cure for it, but what they can do is regulate their behavior, and they need help to do that. But they have to recognize that they have an issue, and it's that recognition that will take them, because some people with narcissistic personality disorder do go for therapy. It's very rare. There's not that many, like I said, and they are usually very self-aware narcissists. Now, my ex did go to, but he was forced to go because he was ex-military. He didn't want to go. If he didn't have to go, he wouldn't go. But although he was quite self-aware, and he was quite happy with the way his life is and how he conducts his life. So I would say that the majority of narcissists, even if they are aware of who they are, won't go for therapy. They just won't, unless they are pushed to go, unless there's something that's made them have to go. And there are one or two, and you can find them online, that are very much self-aware and talk about how they manage themselves. And a lot of the time it's about regulating their behavior. They're still narcissists. That's never going to change. But what can happen is that they can learn to actually understand that when somebody is crying, for example, that person's in pain. So what they can do, they understand cognitively. They understand everything cognitively. They just don't understand it always in the heart, if that makes sense. So they know how they need to respond in particular situations. And that's why a lot of us get fooled. So they know how to respond because they know what the human responses should be. It just means it's just that they don't feel it. So when they go for therapy, it's about having to understand and learn those, and the therapist will help them to do that. But there isn't any cure. But from my belief perspective, I think there's always that. There is always that. There's a higher power, So I try it's easy to demonize narcissists and say they're all very wicked and all of that. And their behavior is horrible and devastating. They are still human beings, So I understand the question that you're asking. It's a difficult and very complex thing. They have to be willing to go into therapy, and it will take years. They're never cured, but they learn to manage, how they interact with other people. They learn to regulate how they respond.
If you enjoy this podcast, make sure you subscribe so you never miss any of our future episodes. Rate and review Obehi Podcast and share with your friends who might need it. I remain Obehi 114. Thank you so much for listening, and talk to you in the next episode.